long-standing members and some remembrances of those who have been part of the organization and have passed into the arms of Christ. The Seawiz Award, the Early Career Scientist and Campus Minister Awards, the scholarship recipients, an appeal, and then we'll talk about ASA 2025 at Colorado Christian University, followed by some Q&A. I guess I'm up. Before I introduce myself, I want to introduce to you the current slate of ASA Board of Directors members. If you are in the audience, if you could stand up, wave, identify yourself so they know who you are. Catherine Applegate is the vice chair. She's gone? Okay. Bob Geddes, our treasurer. Afat Zadan is our secretary. She's not able to make it this year. Is Say Kim in the audience? No. And we have two new board members, Karma Carrier and Mark Strand. In introducing myself, I want to give you a few of my identities. And first and foremost, I'm a husband and father of three. Two adult children, one trying to get into law school, the other one is a prolific musician, and then I have one going to Virginia Commonwealth University in the fall. So we're almost an empty nest, but not quite yet. I attend Fairfax Community Church in Fairfax, Virginia. It is of the Church of God, Anderson, Indiana. And it is a science-friendly organization that I discovered when they had an event, a Test of Faith event, hosted by the Faraday Institute and BioLogos. And I knew immediately that that was a congregation that I could fit into. 22 years in the Navy, 15 years flying helicopters, and another 7 years as a military diplomat in the Middle East. After that, I did a stint in Lockheed Martin, selling the same helicopters I used to fly in the Middle East. And then I worked for the Secretary of the Navy as the Director for International Affairs before I entered the world of research and engineering and science and tech, where I worked for the Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence and Security, and then for the Deputy Assistant Secretary of the Army for Research and Technology, which is where I'm currently at. That's my day job. On the side, I've learned a really hard lesson. I'm on the board of directors as the chair. I'm the program co-chair of this year's meeting. And I realized that to do both at the same time, there was a necessity for high-tech solutions. Now, I put myself into superposition a number of times to be able to do both things at once, but every time my wife looked at me, I kind of reverted back to just one thing. It's the observer effect. So I decided I was going to go onto Amazon, and this worked really well. Flux capacitor, $99.99 during Amazon Prime Day. Worked great. So I want to go through some of our accomplishments over the last year. We added a marketing item to the budget of $5,000 a year. We realized that we needed to be more sensitive to the need for marketing ourselves or branding ourselves. And so we're putting that into our budget, and I think we're using it to great effect already. Also, in response to the schedules of the various board members, we've clarified some of our email voting rules because it's not enough to meet just once a quarter. There is always business to be done, and by clarifying that and capturing those email discussions and those email votes, we're able to do business quicker and more efficiently. We also compiled a board governance manual. Everything that we need to know in order to perform as a board, again, efficiently. We also completed an MOU with a CSCA and that's been in effect for the last year. But most importantly, we developed metrics for what we call a dashboard that allows us to have a snapshot of critical metrics dealing anywhere from the financial to membership to scholarship and to engagement. We also recommended minor changes to the ASA bylaws. They are very minor, inconsequential, but they still have consequences. That's why we're changing them. But they're very minor, and I want to encourage you that there are only a few days left in the comment period before it goes to a vote. Although they're minor changes, it's very important that you do vote, because we need a quorum of the membership in order for those bylaws to go into effect. So go back in your email archives, ASA bylaws in the search bar, take a look, read it, comment, and then get ready to pull the lever. Lastly, we finalized an ASA member code of conduct that we will be rolling out to you very, very soon. I'm going to summarize some of those principles that are in this code of conduct, and we found that it's necessary to remind ourselves and each other how we treat each other as not just colleagues, but fellow images of God. So the intent of this code of conduct: we are committed to a biblical concept of shalom. That's a right ordering of our relationships and our actions. And we recognize that our conversations have to reflect those diverse points of view and conduct those discussions with grace and respect, because it's not just us that we're modeling to each other, we're also modeling ourselves and our behavior to the outside world. We want to show the world that despite these diverse points of view, that we can live harmoniously with each other as a faith community, a diverse, singular body. We also want to affirm that image of God in each other. So what are the principles of this code of conduct? Intellectual humility. Intellectual humility. And I want to remind everyone that the ASA is not an advocacy organization. We do not take positions on controversial issues. We want the ASA to be fertile ground for discussions that result in idea formation, and maybe even the next science and faith organization that comes alongside the church. And maybe that could be an advocacy organization that you're running. But here, the diversity of ideas creates fertile ground for that to happen. We also want courageous curiosity. Listen to each other. Be curious about why other people hold the positions that they do. Ask questions before you tell them what you think. Also, we want to show radical hospitality. And last but not least, just to reiterate the point, shalom, peace, right ordering of relationships. If something should happen in the course of these discussions that do not reflect biblical shalom, we want you to know that part of this code of conduct process, there is some formal adjudication to help resolve these kinds of disputes. The first and foremost way to resolve a dispute is to go to the person you're having conflict with, in accordance with Matthew chapter 18, where Jesus gives the church a governing principle. If that doesn't work, and sometimes it doesn't, you can write a written request to Janelle if it involves another ASA member in her capacity as president, or to me as the board chair if it involves the ASA as an organization, or Janelle as the president. and we will review the violation. And we may, based on the severity of the issue, we'll create a neutral 3-member committee to review the charge, consider the case, and we'll recommend a resolution within a specified time period. We're not going to let this languish. We want to resolve it as quickly as possible. And the goal is that all parties reflect this organization's nature as a fellowship of Christians who can reconcile with each other. They're mature enough to do this. And in order to do that, we need to demonstrate a learning spirit. I'm a big C.S. Lewis nut. And in 2016, I started a journey to read everything that C.S. Lewis has ever written. And I'm about 2/3 of the way there. And in a book about poetry, I saw a relationship that had formed between C.S. Lewis and his opposition, E.M.W. Tilliard. The book is called The Personal Heresy, and I love this quote. This is C.S. Lewis talking to Dr. Tilliard. He says, "A friend of mine described himself as being hungry for rational opposition. The word seemed to hit me off very happily, the state of a man who had published doctrines which he knows to be controversial, and yet finds no one to voice the general disagreement that he looked for." There was no iron to sharpen his iron. In such matters, to find an opponent is almost to find a friend. That's what we want to see here. Iron sharpening iron. So enough about the code of conduct. Also this year, we've been reading through Jim Collins' Good to Great. Has anyone read that? You all should read it. We would love for you to get involved in the transformation of this organization. And we would love to hear your ideas of how we can go from good to great. And we also read the accompanying monograph, Good to Great and the Social Sectors, that focused more on 501c3 nonprofits. And in both of these, Jim Collins presented the idea of the hedgehog concept. Now, the concept is based on Isaiah Berlin's essay, The Hedgehog and the Fox. And to make a long essay short, the fox was trying to catch the hedgehog. And when the fox tried one approach, the hedgehog would just roll himself up in a ball and roll away. The fox would try again using another approach or another technique or another tactic. A lot of varied approaches to capturing the hedgehog, but he couldn't, because the hedgehog only knows one big thing, and it makes him successful. The fox knows a lot of things, but the hedgehog is focused on one single defining idea. So in this hedgehog concept that Jim Collins had put together for this book, he asks 3 questions. About what is the ASA deeply passionate? I think we all know what that is. What drives the ASA's economic engine? It's the membership, its contributions, its grants. I think we've got an okay handle on that, but we're working toward a better paradigm. But what was really important, what the board of directors really focused on this past Thursday afternoon, is at what can the ASA be best in the world at? What is that single defining idea that the ASA can be the best in the world at? And we've come up with some pretty good ideas, and it all has to do with the vision that Janelle will be mentioning a little bit later. But it does have something to do with equipping you and professionally developing you to go out into your worship communities and into the world. We want to be better at that, and we not only want to be better, we want to be the best in the world at it. that when someone comes up with this idea, they say it's already been done. It's the ASA. It's not the AAAS, it's the ASA. So, we want to think more strategically about you, especially those who have these little blue ribbons, the fellows. We're looking at you. We want to engage you and equip you to a greater degree. And we're going to experiment with some different engagement activities. We'll scrap what doesn't work and we'll keep what does. But in the next year or so, I want you to think about what the ASA is going to look like in 5 years. But I don't think that's enough. Our centennial is coming up in 2041, 17 years from now, and that will arrive faster than you think. What do we want to look like? Think about that. And if you have an answer or an idea, let me know. You can email me straight away. Open door policy. Think about that, because I think we have the potential to be the best of the world at something. And that's all I've got.
Put it this way. Good evening. I'm here to start the report from the executive team of Vicki and myself. Oh, he did change it for me, right? Very good. And just to remind you, what does the ASA do? We advance scholarship, and you've been experiencing some of that at this meeting through our publications, online programming, and chapter and affiliates. Also, professional development and formation, and I think that from that discussion of the board, there will be more emphasis on that because we are talking about equipping you to go out into the world, and fellowship and community building, and certainly we've experienced that here this weekend. And Mike has talked about how we do that with intellectual humility, courageous curiosity, and radical hospitality. I want to just share a few things that Vicki and I have been busy doing this year. We have developed a membership growth plan that we've been working on, and a lot of work has gone into raising the visibility of the ASA and social media, if you haven't noticed, including trying to push memberships, and we've been working with a company to do that, and that's part of that marketing plan. We have been engaging with members and chapters and affiliates, so we've had a busy travel experience the last year. Sometimes we're together, sometimes we're apart. So for an example of that is we had a trip to the upper Midwest, and Fargo had never had anybody come, and so Mark Strand and his team gave us a great time in Fargo. We were in Minneapolis, and then in Northwest Iowa. And on that trip, I managed to get 4 more states on Vicki's, checklist, and introduce her to bison and prairie dogs, which were new. So that was the biological part of the trip, the zoological part. And then, of course, we had our trip to Hawaii with the ASA group. Vicki also went to Florida and to the Bay Area, and then I went to Wheaton and to the UK recently and visited the Faraday Institute and Christians in Science and the Templeton meeting. And then both of us also are involved in various different chapters. I've been to Wheaton, and she does a lot of work in the Boston. I don't think I missed much of that. We're planning a trip in the fall to the Pacific Northwest, including Vancouver. So we're working on that. And also in February, probably, or in April, to Dallas. So those are in our plans coming up. We've also been very busy with partnerships and collaborations, so we have had quarterly meetings with the members of the various science and faith organizations. One of the questions that all these people have been asking is, what would it take in 20 years from now, it would be normal for an excellent scientist to be a Christian and for a scientist to feel very comfortable in their church. So that's sort of the big question that we've been working on. We also have several projects going with Blueprint, which is one of those organizations, and have met with organizations like ECHO on potential collaborations. We have been doing work on our strategic plan, and Paul Arvidsson has been helpful in that way, and we're going to continue to work on with the team on that plan. And then I wanted to just emphasize that Vicki and I are a shared leadership team, and so we thought you should see the diagram. You don't have to read it because it's probably too small to read. But just to give you an idea of how we see our work together, Vicki is full-time, and she is the executive vice president. I am part-time, and I'm the president, and we have some things that we each are responsible for, and then things that we work together for. But I would say, in general, we are a team, and it really doesn't divide up. We're both in it all together, and it's been a fabulous working life together. I just can't emphasize that enough. Even travel together is awesome. So thank you for the opportunity to be able to work with Vicki. And I think I'll turn it over to her.
Thank you, Janelle, and it's good to be with you all. When Janelle introduced me to 4 states in the Midwest, she also introduced me to the Corn Palace and Wall Drug, for anybody that's been there. It was an experience I'll never forget. It's a joy to work with Janelle as well, and it's good to be with you tonight. I'm going to talk about the 23-24 financial highlights, and I just want to remind you that the ASA has been a longstanding member of the ECFA, which is the Evangelical Council on Financial Accountability. I see a few people shaking their heads. The ECFA is essentially the Good Housekeeping seal of approval on 7 standards of excellence, including financial oversight, transparency, governance, compensation setting, and charitable giving best practices. And so we have to go through a process each year where we get re-established with ECFA every year. And you may see on the bottom of our stationery or on our website the ECFA seal of approval. So it's a way to keep us in good financial standing. I should also mention the ECFA is actually adding an 8th standard this year on leadership, because they see the value of leadership, and so that will become 8 standards of excellence. We have a strong financial statements and a growing budget. Our budget has doubled in the last 10 years from $350,000 to $700,000. You may recall that 10 years ago we purchased office condos and we moved from a rental mode into ownership mode. We launched a capital campaign to fund those, and we shaved 75% off our occupancy expenses. And so our balance sheet is also growing with the addition of the office condos and the growth of the endowment, which I will talk about in a minute. The board has adopted a cash reserve policy, and so our 5-year goal is to have a reserve of about $180,000 by 2028. So we're making progress toward that reserve and feel good about that. The Legacy campaign is making really spectacular progress. For any of you that were with us in San Diego, you may recall that we launched the public phase of a $5 million campaign, and we're pleased to tell you that we're at $3.5 million to date. And again, the goal of the campaign is to grow the endowment for the next generation to ensure the legacy of the ASA. And so we have many people that have made primarily planned gifts, which are future gifts, out of their legacy planning, estates, wills, IRAs, and we've received about 100 gifts and pledges totaling $3.5 million. So again, we're very grateful for many of you that have pledged and given to the campaign, because again, we see that as a strategic initiative to ensure the fiscal stability and financial sustainability for the future of the organization. In terms of the business model, Mike inferred that we are looking to continue to grow the business model. We've definitely made some very good progress, and we're looking to make it even more robust. And the ASA business model essentially is composed of programming revenue, dues and subscriptions. Charitable giving makes up about 50% of our revenue model, and then interest and dividend revenue from the endowment fund. And I'm going to say a word about the endowment fund. If you look at the chart over here, you'll see that the endowment fund has more than doubled in the last 10 years. So we started at 290,000, and we're now up at 750,000. And again, that's in large part due to the legacy campaign and the gifts that have been coming in for that. We have a 5% draw policy. So if you do the math on that, I see Ted Davis shaking his head. That 5% then is growing every year and coming into the operational budget, which allows us expanded programming and some of the things that you have seen over the course of the last several years. In terms of membership support and service, we are about encouraging, empowering, and equipping you as the members to go and be salt and light in your respective spheres. And some of the things that we've been working on, Janelle mentioned the membership growth plan, and one initiative under the membership growth plan is institutional memberships that we're going to be rolling out this fall. So we will be packaging group memberships that we can offer to colleges and universities, partner organizations, Christian study centers. So be on the lookout for that, and we hope that you'll take advantage of that new initiative. We have a member survey coming out in the next couple months. This is long overdue, and we want to hear from you. So please make an effort to respond to the survey, and we're going to take what we hear in the survey, and that will help us in the strategic visioning of the organization and better serving you as our members. In terms of programming activities, the annual meeting is a big part of what we do. The journal, God and Nature, Diving Deeper. Our winter symposium was an initiative that started during COVID, and we're pleased to announce the 2025 winter symposium will be Joanna Ng, who was a plenary in Toronto, along with Rosalind Picard and our very own Derek Skirman, and they will be talking on AI and Christianity. So that will be the last Saturday in January, so be on the lookout for that. And then in terms of vocational opportunities, we rolled out our Career Center a couple years ago, and that's been a really valuable resource to job seekers and those looking to hire people. And that's a source of passive income for the ASA as well. In addition to the workshops that you've seen take place here at the meeting, our affiliate groups. So a number of different vocational opportunities that we offer. We are thrilled with the growth of our chapters and affiliates, and we've got a total of 36 chapters across the US and Canada. A number of them are thriving. We had a fantastic chapters and affiliates session today with a number of leaders. In addition, we have 9 affiliate groups, which are disciplinary groups, the biologists, the entrepreneurs, ministers, theologians, philosophers, creation care affiliates, and the science communicators of faith are brand new affiliate groups, and a number of them have met over the course of this weekend. And if you're interested in getting involved in an affiliate group, we've got a table out in the foyer where you can sign up and pick up materials. And of the 36 chapters and 9 affiliate groups, we have 3 leaders in every single one of these. So if you do the math on it, we have 150 leaders, essentially, that are working on behalf of the ASA to lead these various groups. So I just want to say thank you to those of you that are leading, and others that, again, are interested in becoming leaders or getting involved in a chapter or affiliate. Please see us, and we'd be happy to talk to you. We have a total of 3,500 members, subscribers, and followers worldwide. And all of what you just heard would not be possible without the awesome ASA team that we have. If any of the team members are here tonight, I would like you to stand as I say your name. Becky English, as you know, is out at the table and has been the glue to this meeting. Mark McEwen is waved from the back. Mark. Lynn Berg, who many of you know has been a longstanding ASA team member, and Michelle Pizzeni work with me in the Topsfield office. Dana Oleskowitz is our Director of Chapters and Affiliates. Hannah Eagleson is with us. She's our Director of Partnerships and Innovation. You'll be hearing from both of them in a few minutes. Cy Gart and Aniko Albert are the team that executes God in Nature. There's Aniko. Hi, Aniko. Randy Isaac is Executive Director Emeritus, and Randy continues to help us with all the IT needs of the organization, so we see Randy on a regular basis in the office. And John Wood is another Director Emeritus. There's John. And John is actively involved as well. Steve Kontakis is our incoming editor-in-chief. Steve, are you with us? There is Steve. Yep. Oh, Becky. I see Becky in the back. There's Becky. Everybody give Becky a shout out. And finally, Jim Peterson is our editor-in-chief for a few more days, and Janelle's going to come up and say a few words about Jim.
We want to take this time to recognize Jim Peterson, who's stepping down as editor-in-chief of the Perspectives Journal. I would say supposed to be at the end of this meeting, but you know, there's a September issue coming out, right? So there's probably a little bit more he still has to do. But this is after 17 years of service as first the book review editor and then the editor-in-chief. So he's the longest serving editor in the history of the journal. So we want to thank Jim for his elevating the excellence of the journal, for his tireless efforts for everything from editing to responding to inquiries to mentoring authors whose papers are not quite ready for peer review. He's spent hours listening to the recordings of all the sessions at the annual meeting, looking for potential authors and being a model of offering constructive and encouraging feedback to help authors grow. So in light of all of this, all of the time that Jim is going to have on his hands, and this is a joke if you haven't seen the kind of productivity that he has outside the journal, we're giving Jim the gift, you can come up, Jim, of a dinner night out with his wife who will surely be appreciating less email in their lives. Thank him one more time. Next, I want to introduce the ASA Fellows in the class of 2024. To be an ASA Fellow, someone has to be nominated. They have to be a full member of the ASA for at least 5 years, have an advanced degree or equivalent, be engaged in distinctive work, contribute to the ASA, and be voted in by the majority of fellows. So I'd like each fellow to come up as I call your name. So the first one is Fred Cannon. Fred is Professor Emeritus in Environmental Engineering at Pennsylvania State University. He has an expertise in research on water treatment, activated carbon purification, iron foundry pollution prevention, and hydrofracturing water treatment with an emphasis on reducing pollution while saving money. He received 27 consecutive years of NSF funding, and for 25 years he served as a faculty director of Penn State's Sloan Mentoring Program, which involved 200 African American and Latino American PhD students at Penn State. He's currently writing a book in which he argues for no conflict between the Bible and peer-reviewed research. So come up here. Congratulations. Our next new fellow is Paul Carr. He holds a PhD in physics and led a research and development team on SAW, surface acoustic wave devices for radar, communication, TV, and cell phones with the Air Force Research Lab where he worked for 32 years. He went on to receive a Templeton Foundation Award for the development of a philosophy course, Science and Religion, Cosmos to Consciousness. And this inspired his book, Beauty in Science and Spirit. He's continued sharing his passion for the beauty of both science and religion by teaching courses. And in 2007, he championed the Institute of Religion in the Age of Science and was given the Academic Fellow Award. So congratulations, Paul.
Thank you.
And I love your smile.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. My daughter made it.
Wrong one. Did you switch them? I did have them in alphabetical order. No. Oh, okay. You got another one. Okay. We'll get it. I think I gave him 2. Our next fellow is Christine Johnson, Senior Advanced Systems Engineer at Honeywell. She worked on multiple programs, including the Next Generation GPS-aided high-integrity attitude and heading reference system for navigating aircraft. She serves on the Industry Advisory Board for the University of the Northwest and on the Board of Directors for Christian Engineering Society. She's the president of the North Star chapter of the ASA and is one of the most prodigious readers on faith and science that I know. Maybe karma might compete with her, but she co-hosts Voices in the Wilderness, a show on YouTube with leaders on conversations with faith and science, does book reviews, convenes discussions with faith and science, and then also oversees the CWIS Facebook page. And sometime you have to ask her about her favorite Halloween costume. Oh, I'm supposed to go that way. Thank you, Christine. I'm so pleased with you. Professor, the next one is Charles Kenkelberg, Professor of Physics at Montana State University. His research concerns the solar transition region in Corona and includes developing ultraviolet instrumentation to observe the sun from sounding rockets and satellites. He's the principal investigator of First Sounding Rocket Mission and co-investigator on the Interface Region Imaging Spectrograph at NASA. He has a passion for mentoring others in their faith formation and the integration of faith with professional life, and he's done this through his extensive mentoring and involvement in campus ministries at Montana State University. Here you go.
I wish that NASA had an interfaith
Yeah,
explorer. That'd be
I know.
fantastic.
Kind of confused that one. First, I'll make sure it's the right one in order. Our next fellow is Vlad Pasaran, who holds a PhD in physics and has 30 years of industrial R&D experience working at Vail, Canada, and Rio Tinto metal powders. He specializes in the development and production of metal powders and metal foams and is the author of several patents and publications in this area. He's a research associate at the University of Waterloo in Ontario and holds the designation of professional physicist as a member of the Canadian Association of Physics. He's the vice president of CSCA and had a role in last year's meeting, and he has a passion for missions and the exploration of topics at the interfaith of science and faith. Our next fellow is Daisy. Now she's taught me how to say her name. Savari Rajan. Savari Rajan. Was that all right, Daisy? Good. Is professor of biology and microbiology at the College of Natural Sciences at Grand Canyon University. She is a master teacher who nurtures the next generation in their understanding of faith and science. She's done research on the impact of faith on learners. She's led faculty workshops on faith and learning. She's mentored her colleagues in their understanding of the integration of faith and science. Daisy's been active both as a mentor of the GCU ASA chapter and to pre-health majors, but also regionally around the topic of faith and science. She served on the planning committee for the Conference on Faith and Science at Arizona State University. She's also involved in the Antimicrobial Discovery Lab at GCU's Research and Design program, which is exploring novel treatments of drug-resistant microorganisms. The next fellow we are honoring tonight is Julie Woodman, who is Associate Professor of Biology at Colorado Christian University. She integrates her love of teaching and mentoring with research on effective community outreach in STEM. This has included funding from NSF for her Wild Yeast Outreach Program, which works with middle school children in the inner city Denver. In 2021, she received the Hatfield Prize from the Center for Public Justice for her work with CCU students on research into children's healthcare disparities during COVID-19, with the emphasis on children's health insurance program. This culminated in the publication of a public policy report. She is an ASA Rocky Mountain chapter leader and a faculty advisor to the ASA student chapter at Colorado Christian, and involved in the organization of next year's meeting. As a science professor who teaches general science to non-science majors, she equips a broad range of students to think about science and faith, and brings research to bear on the effectiveness of teaching modalities that effectively integrate science and Christianity in the classroom.
Congratulations. I'd love to talk to you about your work in the community and virtual.
There are two that were not able to be with us today. Matthew Morris, who's Associate Professor of Biology at Ambrose University in Calgary, and Aaron Smith, who is the Fletcher Jones Endowed Professor of Research and a Professor of Psychology at California Baptist University. So let's give them a hand, even though they're not here. Thank you.
And I am going to be recognizing our long-standing members. Those of you that were with us last night saw that we recognized the VIP members, and tonight we're going to recognize our 70-plus year members, those who have reached 60-year membership and 50-year. So we have 3 members. This is just remarkable to me. Robert Ziegler is a 73-year member. John Osipchuk from the Boston area is a 72-year member. And Donald DeGraff is a 71-year member. Additionally, we have 60-year members, Philip Bays and George Harrison. These gentlemen are not with us tonight, but we want to recognize them. Additionally, thank you. We have several 50-year members, and 4 of them are with us tonight. So what year do you think that the 50-year members joined the ASA? Trick question, 1974. So again, long-standing faithfulness to the ASA. So Ed Allen, Alan Bajurkis, Dennis Eggleston, Carl Evans, Gareth Jones, Jack Swearingen, Daniel Tucker, and Stephen Wilson are not with us tonight, but we do want to recognize them. With us tonight is Paul Arvison, and Paul is the CEO of Solar Household Energy. His background is computer science and physics. He lives in Rockville, Maryland. His wife, Kathy, is with him tonight, and Paul first heard of the ASA through a Christianity Today ad, and that's how he became a member. And Paul serves on our development committee. He was a local arrangements chair for this meeting, and he's been very active in the Washington, D.C. chapter. So Paul, would you please come forward? We can give him a round of applause. Next, I would like to recognize Sydney Niemeyer, who is with us tonight. Sid is from Pleasanton, California, and he has a very interesting career. He spent the first half of his career as a physicist at Livermore Labs, and the second half of his career as an executive pastor. So again, a very unique professional experience. He joined the ASA as a Calvin student when he was in his undergrad years. And his wife, Debbie, is with him this weekend. And Sid has just written a nuclear forensics thriller called Atomic Pearl. So you will have to check that out. Sid, would you please come forward? Congratulations. Next with us tonight is Dillard Ferris. Dillard is from Hilliard, Ohio, and he is Professor Emeritus of Wheaton College, where he taught physics. And his wife, Sally, is with him tonight. Dillard first learned of the ASA when he came to teach at Wheaton, and there were a number of Wheaton professors that were ASA members. And another interesting bit of information, I see Gordon Fish and Randy Isaac sitting together. Dillard Ferris was Gordon and Randy's professor when they were at Wheaton. So again, a long-standing relationship. Congratulations, Dillard, and would you please come forward? Is he here? Right, there he is. Okay. Dillard has a few other students here tonight, too, he's informed me. And next, I would like to introduce John Wood, who is another 50-year member. John is a retired ecologist from the King's University. He's also Executive Director Emeritus of the ASA. He's a fellow. He serves on our development committee. And John became an ASA member when he was given a student membership from Jim Kennedy when he was undergrad at North Park University. John and I have worked closely together. He was the interim director for 3 or 4 years before Janelle came on board, and so we spent a lot of time together during the COVID years, and I have a deep respect for John. His wife, Kathy, is with us this weekend and has worked the annual meetings the last couple of years. Another interesting piece of information that I found out as I was researching these 4 gentlemen, 3 of the 4 of them did their PhD work at Berkeley, John, Sid, and Dillard, so they have that in common. And John and I have a running joke between each other because John often calls himself old, distinguished, expired, and I say, no, John, you're a classic and you're vintage. Come on up. Congratulations. Next, we want to recognize ASA members who went to be face-to-face with Jesus this year. We have a number of them, and the ASA does something that I think is really unique, and we recognize all of our members, and we have them all chronicled on our website and our Members in Glory page, and we also recognize them in the newsletter. So please take the time to go to our Members in Glory tribute section, and you'll see the life testimonies of these various people: Jack Irvine, Fred Chapp, Mary Court, Wayne Lynn, David Moberg, William Pletcher, Richard Rubel, Ian Tinsley, and David Tribble. And I'm sure some of you may know these men. Mike Beidler had the opportunity to get to know Jack Irvine, as did I, and Mike's going to come up and say a word or two about Jack in particular.
In 2008, I moved to Monterey, California with my family to go to the Defense Language Institute, where I was a full-time Persian Farsi student. And I attended a small church in Carmel Valley. And it was a time in my life where I was on a science faith journey. And I discovered the ASA in 2009, and Randy, Isaac, I don't know if you remember that phone call way back when, but you encouraged me to join. And what I didn't know at the time was that you put the new members in the newsletter. And this church, which was not very science friendly, I kind of felt like a fish out of water. Until one day, Jack Irvine comes walking down the aisle, and he leans over and whispers in my ear, "Congratulations." I'm like, "For what?" And he looks at me and he goes, "The ASA," and a wink. And that was the start of a beautiful relationship. And he was also a very accomplished artist, and we have some of his artwork hanging on our wall in our living room. And I will always remember Jack every time I'm in that living room. So, thank you.
So we're going to just take a few moments of silence to remember these folks. Ecclesiastes 3:2 says, "There is a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot." For our members in glory, Lord, hear our prayers. Amen.
Good evening. So I will have the pleasure of handing out a CWIS award. The CWIS is the Christian Women in Science. So we have dedicated an award to Marie H. Berg, and I'll tell you a little bit about Marie before we hand out the award. She was born in 1909. She was an educator, researcher, leader, and advocate for the Christian faith. She received her PhD in biochemistry from University of Heidelberg in 1934 and held a professorial appointment at institutions primarily in Minneapolis and St. Paul, including Hamline University, University of Minnesota, Northwestern College, and Metropolitan State Junior College. Dr. Berg's research related to biochemistry of various human diseases, and later she turned her attention to fire science and the chemistry of combustion. Dr. Berg integrated her faith and science daily. She always reached out to offer the gospel of Jesus Christ. And she served as a model for blending human concerns with our technological work. Dr. Berg became a member of ASA in 1961 and was one of the first women to be appointed as an ASA fellow, as well as the first woman to run for the Executive Council. Although unsuccessful, and that was in 1980. She served as the president of the North Central Chapter of ASA and was involved with the membership committee. Dr. Berg was faithfully an ASA member up until close to the time of her passing in 2007. She is now in glory. So we honor Dr. Berg for her devotion and advancement by honoring an ASA member that exemplifies the ASA mission, and particularly through the Christian Women in Science. So what we offer through the awardee, in addition to a certificate, is a necklace that has an agate that are known for its colorful bands of microcrystalline quartz. But another thing that's wonderful about them is their translucency. This means that despite all of the pressures that the sediments of these rocks are subjected to over time to form those swirls in the bands that make them well known and favored around the world, light will always find a way to pass through them. And so this year we are very honored and pleased to dedicate the award this year to Jennifer Wiseman.
This was a total surprise. They didn't tell me about this. I would have dressed for the occasion.
Yeah. Who won the volleyball team?
Well, can you hear me? And am I blasting your eardrums? Good. I am thrilled and delighted to be here today to celebrate our growing students and early career scientists support. And this year, I believe we have more than 60 early career and student participants with us. I'm so excited to have you all here. Please continue to give them a warm welcome if you're a longstanding member, and please keep coming back if you're a student or early career member. Also have the great pleasure of offering our awards. First, for our Early Career Scientist Award, and I'll invite Matthew Ravichandran to come up right now. I am informed for these next two awards that you will receive a certificate in the mail. They did not provide jewelry for the two next awardees, but I think you'll survive it. So, we launched these awards in 2021 to help celebrate early career Christians who model connecting science and faith in a way that can encourage and inspire our whole network. And Matthew has modeled that remarkably well in his undergraduate career at Gordon College and in his current role in research at the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute. Matthew graduated from Gordon in May of 2023 with a Bachelor's of Science in Biology, magna cum laude. While at Gordon, Matthew was very active in the ASA chapter and was its leader during his junior year. I have not met too many biology majors who also launched their film career in their undergraduate educations, but Matthew has already helped to make a film. So he helped to create a documentary on students' perspectives on science and faith as part of his service to the Gordon ASA chapter. Matthew, I believe it was just last month that we saw a student member had joined ASA because of viewing this documentary. So it's clearly having an ongoing impact. Speaking of ongoing impact, in his current role at Dana-Farber, Matthew is studying the mitochondria's role in various diseases, including cancer and mitochondrial diseases. He is an aspiring physician scientist, and he's also continued to engage with science and faith questions and to mentor others, having served last year on the ASA Early Career Meeting panel. So Matthew, we want to celebrate your outstanding accomplishments in your work and in your faith and science engagement, and to look forward to the ways that God will continue to guide you along this path. So please join me in celebrating Matthew's faithfulness and commitment. Congratulations. Next, I will ask Kevin Ford to come up. Tonight, we're going to celebrate Kevin Ford's 35 years of campus ministry at MIT, and I'll wait till he comes up to tell you more. So here is Kevin to celebrate with us. He serves with InterVarsity's graduate and faculty ministries. When we shared this announcement on social media that we would be giving Kevin this award, one of his MIT chaplain colleagues wrote, "Kevin Ford is the smartest and most faithful chaplain in Cambridge. His award is a reflection on the rewarding experience it is for so many to be connected to him." 3 cheers, Kevin. So being a chaplain to MIT grad students and faculty is truly being a chaplain to scientists around the world. Kevin has humbly and faithfully mentored hundreds of leaders, at least hundreds. Actually, it might be thousands of leaders. And they are leaders in science, in ministry, in government, in business, in education, and they're all over the globe. They're following Jesus better in science because of Kevin's care for them, his curation of speakers and resources to help them explore science and faith questions, and his vision and commitment for what's possible in campus ministry. Kevin has also very generously shared these skills and wisdom with many scholarship and faith organizations, including the ASA. At our 2018 conference at Gordon, he spoke for the early career track on the value of networking and community to improve your science ideas, digging very deep into his vast history of science knowledge to talk about that. And he also told me once that the executive director of the Veritas Forum, which equips Christian scholars to communicate about life's biggest questions, told him that the MIT Faculty Fellowship is what they thought of as their bullpen. And Kevin is the one who's been doing the work for years to support that faculty fellowship in that richness of thought. So many people benefit so deeply from Kevin's ongoing work, so please join me in honoring him this evening. Kevin, thank you so much. Especially
Thank you, Hannah, and congratulations, Matthew and Kevin. As Janelle and I travel the country visiting with many of our members, one of the questions that we ask most frequently is, how did you learn about the ASA and become a member? And more often than not, we hear from people that they became members either through InterVarsity Christian Fellowship, through a professor, through a friend during their undergrad and grad years. And so many of the longstanding members, too, became members at that point in their lives and have stayed members over the course of their professional life. We invest heavily in our Student Scholarship Fund. A big piece of our legacy campaign is designated for student scholarships, and this weekend, we gave out about 63 scholarships to the tune of $30,000 for students to attend. We offer free registration for students and 50% scholarship for meals and lodging. And the ASA has 269 student memberships. We also offer free memberships for students, so that is an investment that we have strategically made as part of the organization. And so we want to ask you to consider giving to the Student Scholarship Fund. I know many of you do and have, and it's remarkable. We even have a few students as they register for the meeting that will give $5 or $10 that understand the importance of this. So there's a number of ways to donate. We're going to be passing baskets around. You can give cash, you can make out a check to the ASA and put student scholarship in the memo section. You can give online at the ASA website. There's a QR code on the screen now, or you can give via Venmo. I want to take a minute now. I know we did this last night, but I want to recognize again students that are in our midst. So students, would you please stand again if you are here thanks to a scholarship? Thank you. You are the next generation of ASA members. So again, thank you all for helping invest in this initiative that we see as a strategic direction of the organization. So thank you. And I am going to introduce our planning team for next year's meeting. ASA 2025 will be held at Colorado Christian University, and we have Mark Parker and Julie Woodman with us tonight to come up and say a few words about what you can look forward to next year.
Thank you, Vicki. Julie informs me that she already had to come up once tonight, and that's enough for her. So, can everybody hear me okay? So I've got one thing to say about next year's meeting. Colorado. For those of you who have been, it's a wonderful place to hold a meeting. There's few places in the world that are more pleasant than Colorado in July. Lots and lots of things to do. I'm being a bit facetious when I say that, though, because I think we have plans for an outstanding meeting. I've got a team listed here that is helping me recruit for a, excuse me, a symposium that should get us all excited again about the work we do. So the meeting will be July 18th to 21st on the campus of Colorado Christian University. Does anybody remember going to CCU in 2003? A few of you do. If you come back next year, and I encourage you to do, you will be shocked by the change. We're about 3/4 of the way through a $100 million campus redevelopment. Everything will be held in brand new state-of-the-art buildings in the shadow of the Rocky Mountains. So it will be a very, very good place to have a meeting. And I think we will also have a program to get you excited. So the theme we've chosen is Science and Technology as Worship. So I was listening to a presentation, the Affiliation of Christian Biologists recently, and Jeff Harden was speaking, and he talked about the moment where he looked through a microscope and saw a developing embryo and how that just transformed his graduate career. He talked about the excitement he saw, the wonder that invoked in him. And it was reminiscent of my own experience as an undergraduate watching a Xenopus embryo develop under a microscope for the first time. And I remember that awe I felt, that feeling that I was watching God's handiwork unfold in front of me. And so the theme we've chosen is Science and Technology as Worship. We want to invite speakers to talk about the work they're doing in light of worship of God, right? We're honored to study His creation, and we should all recapture that joy we have at being able to worship God through the work that we do. And so we're very excited about offering a program that will hopefully rekindle some of the joy we have in the work we do and get young scientists excited about the work they do, remembering and understanding that entering a career in science is going to be something that will bring glory to God, and it's something that they can do on a daily basis to worship Him. So that's our plan. We're still rolling out lots of invitations for plenary speakers and trying to get everything solidified for that. As you've watched Mike run around this week, you can see the amount of work it takes to put something like this together, and he's definitely stoked a spirit of fear in me, I think. But I do want to compliment him on the wonderful program that you've put together, and Cy as well, your co-chair. So thank you, gentlemen. It's been a wonderful meeting. And I hope that you'll all be excited about coming to Colorado next year to study God in light of science and worship God in light of the work you do every day. Thank you very much.
And we're coming to the conclusion of our meeting. Was that supposed to be shown?
See? Fear. Originally, we had planned to tag team this a little bit, so my bad. I'm supposed to talk about all the wonderful things you can do in Colorado, and I got distracted. We are going to have, for those of you who were there at School of Mines in 2017, you may remember lots and lots of wonderful activities that you can do. We're going to have tours of the geology around Colorado Christian University. There is a wonderful geology tour you can do where you can watch look at dinosaur tracks and see Red Rocks Amphitheater and all sorts of wonderful things there. The field trip through the geology tour, we're going to offer field trips to the Garden of the Gods in Colorado Springs, to Pikes Peak. You can drive or ride a cog railway to the peak of a 14,000-foot mountain, one of the tallest mountains in the contiguous United States. Tours of the National Renewable Energy Lab, which is in Golden, Colorado, a few miles from CCU. We're going to have a trip that was very popular last time to the National Science Foundation's Ice Core facility. So lots of other things as well. We would encourage you to come a day early, stay a day late, because there are amazing things to do that are maybe not an afternoon trip, maybe you can't fit it into a morning, that sort of thing. Wonderful hiking, Rocky Mountain National Park, anything you can name. For baseball fans, the Colorado Rockies may be there. Terrible team, wonderful stadium, you can. So we highly encourage you to just come see and experience beautiful Colorado, because I think it'll be a wonderful meeting. Thank you.
Now we're at the end. Q&A. So I'd like to invite Vicki and Janelle to come on up. And we do have no microphones in the aisles. So what we will do is we will get them.
I guess you can come up to the mics if you have a question.
What was the date of the next meeting again?
July 18th.
Now, just as a note, that is not the last week in July that the meeting typically occurs. So if you've got that kind of blocked off every year in your Google Calendar, you got to use that, change that one occurrence. Any questions? They don't even have to be related to the meeting. Can we re-show those tentative, or no?
You can, nobody's confirmed.
Okay.
Feel free to.
Feel free to. You want to see the tentative? Okay, no guarantees. Okay.
Oh.
Tentative. Tentative, tentative, tentative. Tentative.
So this is my first time attending an ASA event. It's been so much fun. And I, other than getting involved in my local chapter, if I want to participate more in ASA, because I think it's so cool, what are other ways to get involved? As someone who's newer to ASA and also younger, are there help that you need, like planning other events or other things that are going on? And how might we be able to help ASA continue?
Dana, come on up.
So many of you are aware that I'm the director of the chapters and affiliates, and so I am here to help you. I am a bridge between the local chapters as well as the discipline groups to the home office. So we provide support for that. So in answer to your question, yes, let's talk.
And also on the student and early career side, I'm working on getting some digital rhythms of interactive events with just a little bit of speaking and a lot of connecting in Zoom rooms with people in your field. First one coming up is September 21st. It's a Saturday, 1 hour and 20 minutes, short panel of cool people, lots of connecting in your field, so see me if you're interested.
John.
Thank you so much. I'm also a first-time attendee of ASA. It's super awesome to be here, and I appreciate everybody's hospitality. I would like to ask about the partnerships. So I've seen some amazing partnerships reflected even on stage during these last few days. And so I'm curious about what the hope is for channel partners or continued like strategic partners in the organization as the plans are to broaden and grow. I saw that you were going around the country on like a whistle stop tour to share about the ASA, so I'm just curious, like InterVarsity has been a super great partner. Are there other partners or other aspirations for the ASA to really make the footprint larger with things like that?
Yeah, so we often refer to our three-part service model of our chapters, affiliates, and partnerships. And how we describe our partners is where our missions intersect for project work. And InterVarsity and Emerging Scholars Network is a really great example of a partnership that's been going on for a long time, and the work that Hannah and Kevin and others have done to really engage the students. You've seen on the rolling slides a number of other partner organizations. BioLogos is one of them. Janelle mentioned Blueprint.
Vicki is working on a potential trip to Florida that would involve Arasha and Echo. So we're in conversations with them about that. Another thing that happens is like the North Star chapter meets at the Anselm House, which is one of the Christian Studies Centers. So we have a lot of, on-the-ground partnerships as well. So it is a live thing that's ongoing, and we're in contact with them all the time.
Over here.
Hi, good night, everyone. My name is Shania Ramtran. I'm one of the student recipients of the student scholarship. So I wanted to say thank you very much for the opportunity to be here. It's my very first ASA. As you know, I've asked many questions throughout the course of the conference, but this is the one question I'm a bit nervous to ask. As I would like to know what you guys are doing to incorporate more of the social sciences into the
We love the Academy. We do. Yeah. I'm also Ashley Kmevin, also one of the student recipients for the scholarship. So thank you guys so much for your donations. I appreciate it.
Yes, we're very happy to be here, but I've noticed a lot of the hard sciences, and I'm very happy when I meet someone else in the social sciences, the humanities. So I just wanted to know what more is being done to incorporate them into the affiliation, yes.
Just so you know, I'm a social scientist.
Okay.
Mike's a social scientist.
Okay.
Social sciences have kind of come and gone in the ASA, and that is actually one of our strategic plan points, is to make the social sciences more visible again. And so, we're doing that through topics. I think you could see some of that in the speakers. And so you have any other? So we are aware of that and we're working on it.
Okay, thank you.
And we're glad you're here.
Yes.
And what you need to do is submit an abstract for next year's meeting that's social science so that we can have more sessions in the social sciences.
The Martian on the left.
Yeah, thank you. I was curious if you could say a little more about the financial goals that you had on the fundraising for the, is it a capital campaign, I think it was, and then maybe also how you, can you say a little more on how you set the budget for any given year?
Yeah, so two questions. In terms of the campaign, I think was the first one, Roger. So we envisioned a campaign about 5 years ago, and of course when you envision a campaign, the question becomes, okay, what's the goal going to be? And we put a development committee together and we discussed the goal, and we had gone out and we're in a silent phase of meeting with some key people that we thought would have the potential to help make some gifts toward the campaign. And after we had gone and done that over roughly a 2-year period, and initially we went into it again, not sure, should this be a $500,000 goal, $1 million, what should it be? And God spoke to us in a way, and after meeting with several donors and soliciting and getting a lead gift, it became clear to us that we needed to be a bit bolder than the 500,000. So we added another 0 to that and made it 5 million. And we've just been really encouraged by the response that we've had as we've gone around and met with many of you and others, and talking about the vision of the ASA and the vision for this campaign to grow the endowment for the next generation of the organization. And so we feel good about the $5 million goal, and we're going to continue to press forward in that regard. In terms of the annual budget, I think that was your second question. We each year try to make strategic investments, and Mike talked about a marketing line item that we've recently added to the budget. We don't currently have a marketing person on our team. That's something for the future that we would envision to grow our team. One of the things that I neglected to mention when I brought the slide up on the team is the ASA has really, over the last 5 to 10 years, intentionally invested in experts in the field, experienced team members, and you've met them all this weekend, that bring an area of expertise needed to the organization to move the organization forward. So how do we set the annual budget? It's based on our historical giving and financial resourcing, and we step forward out of faith, but trying to be prudent and to be good stewards of what God has given us.
And we also have a finance committee. So we do have a finance committee that includes 1 or 2 board members, Vicki and myself, and then other ASA members with an expertise, so they actually make the recommendation to the board on that budget.
A clarifying question would be, so if we were to hit when we hit the $5 million, is the idea that we would use like 5% of that a year, which would typically be what you would be getting in investments or more, so then that would be like a $250,000 to run the organization kind of in perpetuity. Is that the idea in a ballpark kind of way of thinking about it?
Yeah. So right now, with what we have in the endowment fund, it's roughly $750,000. You saw that on the chart. So 5% of that is $37.5. So this particular budget year, we're transferring over $37.5 into the operating fund. And then again, the idea is as the endowment fund grows, that number is going to continue to increase, so that when we get to the $5 million, and keeping in mind it's a plan giving campaign, so many of these are future gifts that we'll see in the future. But at some point in the future, yes, our goal will be to hit the 5 million, at which point it would be 250,000 coming over every single year.
Mark, you should already know that. He was doing what teachers do, is they ask a question that they want everybody to know. I saw that.
Hey, Mark, do you take Venmo? Okay. Chris.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier being across the pond to CIS, Christians in Science in the UK. There's also equivalent organization in Europe, continental Europe. And so there's lots of other resources across the ocean and also towards Pacific and Australia. I'm just wondering if there's possibilities of just strengthening ties with others.
Absolutely. I've talked to the Australians about going there because they come to our quarterly gathering. And with Christians in Science, it was a great visit this summer because I think what we're learning on membership is something that can help them, and we're also talking about sharing journals in order to, enhance what you get with your membership. So I think you're going to see a lot more collaboration that way. And it was a great visit with Faraday to learn more about what they do, and they learned more about what we do, so I just see a lot of that increasing.
Last call. We've gone 3 minutes over. I think the ice cream is melting. Do you guys want to get down there and eat it? All right. Thank you for coming tonight. We'll see you down same place? Or where is it? Right on the patio near the... Hold on. The Garvey patio. So go back to where you've got your meals all weekend, and we'll see you there.
One other thing, would the fellows please come forward for a photo op? The fellows that were inducted today.